So I've got to admit, I was going to drop Nightwing, not because I didn't enjoy the run, but I had to start looking at cutting costs with my comic book budget because I was buying a lot of stuff and I was adding new things to my pull list, like Marvel 2-in-1, which I'm really surprised that was as good as it was. I was really impressed. The art was really good. Chip Zdarsky's writing, like he's really good for dramatic writing, like serious stories. I think that's really his strong suit. I'm not really a fan of the guy's humor. I don't really think he's that funny. But his writing on Marvel 2-in-1 and the recent last 3 issues, I think it was, of Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man have been pretty solid. I'm actually happy because it was getting kind of irritating getting some really trash Spider-Man comics, which is funny because I was reading I think it was the story arc called Torment, and the art was by Rob Liefeld. I think it came out like the late 80s, and just that story alone, it wasn't a big story. It didn't have anything that was like, oh man, so grand and amazing like the Phoenix Saga, but it was just a well-written story, and Peter Parker was an interesting character. He was Spider-Man. He wasn't, being a wuss or anything like you see in the last couple issues of Dan Slaughter. I don't know, the last 2 years of Dan Slaughter's run. But yeah, Nightwing was really good. It kind of had this 80's crime detective vibe going on, which was different because you would have him having a flashback about this new character called the Judge. I'm not going to get too into him. His backstory, just in case people see this video or listen to this, since it's mainly audio, and are interested, is just someone from his past who's come back to haunt him, which is kind of really how things happen with Nightwing. A lot of villains have come back from the past. You had, I think, the Pigeon. You had Ravager. I think that was his name. Ravager came back, who's from Dick Grayson's past. But it really starts off with some people getting mind controlled and some guys robbing a casino, and pretty much Nightwing crashing into the car. It was a really neat action scene. It kind of looked like something that you would see from, I don't know, something from like Daredevil, Netflix's Daredevil, or a really well choreographed kind of fight scene. It was really interesting the way they did it. It was also really easy to follow the action with the panels. I know that's something that some people might not consider a big deal, but when you read certain comics and a character jumps from one area and lands in a completely different spot in the next panel, it can get really confusing to figure out what's going on. So they did a really good job of that. I think Bernard Chang, hopefully I'm saying his name right. I don't have the comic on me right now, but he was doing the art for he is doing the art for Nightwing right now, but he was doing the art for Batman Beyond, like the first 13 issues. I like his art. There are certain times where, I don't know, the characters' faces look a little wonky with certain character expressions, but overall it's pretty good. Sam Humphries has got my money because I was like, I'll read this one issue and I'm gonna drop it, and that didn't happen. I was like, oh great, now I gotta keep on buying this comic. First world problems. But yeah, it's pretty neat. You have him, certain characters kind of pop up again. Forget the detective that he's been working with. She's kind of like his version of Commissioner Gordon. She's one of the few honest cops, if not one of the only cops in Bloodhaven that's not, crooked or taking payoffs from the mob bosses. You've got Dick Grayson putting some money aside by he opens up a gym, which is kind of a small thing, but it's one of those deals where he has a gym, and in the attic and certain areas in the gym, he's got, his hidden lair, I guess, if you would, for all his other tech. So we'll see how it goes. I'm actually think that's one of the coolest things about Nightwing, is that his balance between his personal life and his crime fighting ways at night. I think that's what Chuck Dixon's run, I think in the late 90s, did a really good job. You would have him, working at a bar, a police bar, and getting to know these other characters, but then also crime fighting at night. It kind of found the perfect balance, somewhat more of like Peter Parker and Spider-Man, which is something you don't really get with Batman. Normally you have 70 to 80% of the time Batman, and the other 10-15% Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne's the facade, but Nightwing is Dick Grayson's kind of the same as Nightwing, and it's just being as himself, as his own person. So I'm really interested to see how it goes. The action was really good. The art was good. There's a cliffhanger at the end, and I was like, dang it, I should have known better to buy this comic, because I gotta see how it ends. So if you have not been reading Tim Seeley's run, you can go ahead and jump into this comic and have a good time, because it's a new start off point. If you've been reading Tim Seeley's run, there's certain little Easter eggs and references that you'll pick up on. But yeah, this is a good time as any to jump on. I think the next issue comes out tomorrow, so I'll probably pick that up Wednesday or Thursday and check it out. Man, I can't believe it. I was not gonna add another comic to my pull list. Now I gotta do this. Dang it, Sam Humphries, why do you have to write so good? All right, catch y'all guys in the next.